I have class. All right, can you see the slides now? All right.
Yes.
Oh, ya Allah, ya Allah. I forgot. I forgot. I'm so sorry. Okay. Today I wanted to discuss analyzing the data, how to analyze data. But then now I remember that apart from analysis of data, I want also to continue a little bit more, because I think last week I explained it in a very quick manner on the issue of open-ended question and closed-ended question. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I need to go back to the last week's slides. Yeah. Okay, is there already? Yeah. Okay. And I am already recording this lecture, right? Yes, it is recorded. Okay, now let's take a look at open-ended question and closed-ended question. Even though maybe not everybody is doing qualitative, field work, or quantitative study, but I think it is good if we can take a look what do we mean by open-ended and closed-ended. Hopefully later when you do your research, um, you are guided by this, yeah, because I bet that you will not another set of lectures on research methodology after this, unless if you go for extra workshop. Alright, now let's take a look at the closed-ended question. Closed-ended question happen especially when you are conducting statistical study. Yeah, statistical study. Yeah. And closed-ended question is when you have like anticipated the answers from your respondents, and you put the answers, to the question. So most of the time you kind of subscribe to multiple choice type of answer. So you have like A, B, C, D, E, right? This is the general way of putting close-ended question. But you'll find that they are also drop down. For example, you click and then you have different options from the drop down, or you have check boxes. In check boxes is when you give the respondents the permission to answer more than one, to tick more than one answer. For example, if I give you questions such as okay, what are the research skills that you have so far? So then I put okay, doing writing literature review, um, and then using Zotero, yeah, using Mendeley, using NVivo, what else? Or preparing or writing a research proposal. So there are 5 answers, and then you can tick more than one answer based on the skills that you have. So this is examples of check boxes. You can also put in the mode of, you can also choose to put the mode of ranking question. For example, if you have answered my pilot uh, survey recently, and I asked, the student, do you feel anxious or do you experience anxiety during the MCO? When the pandemic strike us, so explain your anxiety. If yes, explain your anxiety in the rating of 1 to 8. So I put 8 very anxious or extremely anxious, and number 1 is not anxious at all. So you put the rating from 1 to 8. So for example, my findings, our students put 50% student put 6 and 7. Now 5, 6 and 7, their level of anxiety. Whereas another 50% student put 4, 4 downwards, so 4, 3, 2 and 1. So which means half of the PG students were claiming that they have anxiety during the pandemic, 50% of them, and those who claim their level of anxiety was between apa 5 to 7 yeah, which and being 8 being the extremely anxious. So this is an example of giving them the ability to put rating or ranking in their answer. So of course, if you look at the nature of close-ended question, you don't give liberty or freedom to your respondent to have their own unique opinion on responding to the answers. Yeah, they kind of they were kind of forced. They were kind of forced to answer the questions. Therefore, when you design the questions, it's quite challenging because you kind of have to anticipate what they want to answer. If you say, for example, if you miss one point, then later on when you do the analysis, then you just realize, alamak, you're supposed to put this variable but you don't put it. So that would be very unfortunate case. Yeah. So even though having close-ended question is easy to mark or easy to generate or easy to acquire the data, but it is very tricky in the sense that if you ask the wrong question, you offer them wrong answers, then you will not be able to make up. Yeah. So when are the times when you use close-ended questions? Yeah, you use close-ended questions um, when, for example, you know that your audience want to finish very fast. They were not actually interested in answering your survey, but they have to do it. For example, students will have to fill in tracer study, kan? Even though I know tracer study very exhaustive question, or students who are lazy to fill in this apa dia panggil SFS, student feedback survey to the lecturer, kan? So you know that students are not interested to give feedback on their lecturers um, uh, teaching quality, and so okay lah, we put it in close-ended so the student can just tick very quickly. Yeah, so that's how you make very easy. For example, I remember now at the airport, if you notice, this is very good strategy of surveying. At the airport, you enter the toilet. So the janitor, well, not the janitor lah, the company that look after the maintenance of the building will have notification there, emoji, in emoji form, whether you like the toilet or not. So I think they have 3 icons, so 3 emoji, smiley, and disappointed emoji, and then normal. So you can just click whichever that is relevant to your experience in using the toilet. So if you're happy, you put lah. Sometimes also I found at the immigration counter in Singapore, I think I went to Singapore, at the immigration counter, I think they have. And normally when I'm going, yeah, even many of the government's offices in Malaysia have that kind of evaluation. So most of the time, if I would try to respond just to to cooperate with the agency to give feedback on their services. So, when you design the questionnaire, you may want also to think like this, uh, to try to make the experience of answering your question as a seamless one, easier. So this is one situation when you need to make the question close ended. And then secondly, of course, when you need quantify quantifiable data, when you need quantifiable data, when you need to use SPSS, not that you cannot use open-ended question. There is actually a technique for you to use open-ended question. Yeah, but that will be very lousy lah. Say for example, if you have 40 question open-ended and you want to quantify them, so you have to choose close-ended. But say for example, in your survey you have 30 question close-ended and you want to add, say for example, 2 or 3 open-ended question, that is okay. You can do it. I've been doing this pun just to, because I want to make sure whether the respondents have answered correctly or not. Yeah. So, for example, in one of the research I've done, I asked my respondents whether they understand the meaning of religious pluralism well. So I said I asked them whether the level of their understanding is 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5. Yeah. So most of them said 4. It seems that they understand the meaning of religious pluralism very well. But at the end of the question of the survey, I say that please explain what do you understand from the word religious pluralism. And when they are given the opportunity to articulate their understanding, then only I will be able to check whether their understanding is true or not, because they said, oh, they understand and they choose 4. But then when I go back to their explanation, I can trace that this person actually does not understand. But he thought he understand because I can check with their answer. So yes, you can have, but you cannot have all of them, because then it will be very challenging for you to analyze the data. And then you do close-ended question when you want to categorize the respondents. Of course, you know, uh, in quantitative study especially, you will be able to categorize the respondents based on the score. Based on the score that they have acquired, uh, when they respond or when they fill in the survey. So it is very easy to categorize them because you have very clear standard. You have very clear standard. How do I say it? Um, Standard lah, sort of. Very clear standard. Yeah. Okay. Now let's take a look at the open-ended question. What is open-ended question? Open-ended question is when you give question and you do not provide them guide to the answer. Let them answer how they think about how they think. And for this type of question, open-ended question, it is important. Yeah, I think even close-ended question, it is important that you run a pilot survey because you want to know whether the respondent understand the question rightly or not. Because um, maybe you think that this question is understandable, but to the respondents, they don't understand, and maybe they understand it wrongly. I did this mistake recently because I was expecting a friend is helping me to polish the question, but then she even though she's from psychology, but she overlooked that When I ask the respondents, does the pandemic affect uh, your rational ability? What I mean is whether they are able, the respondents are able to think rationally during the pandemic. Having, say for example, having claiming that they were anxious, they have anxiety problems, but were they able to answer the question? They were able to think straight, think rationally, but then I said the question goes like, during the pandemic, does the pandemic affect your rational ability? Alhamdulillah, I think we have one student from psychology who helped me to figure that out, and he said that there is no relationship between rational ability and the pandemic. Then I noticed, okay, this question is wrong. I should rephrase it. So I rephrase that question. So for both close-ended and open-ended, you really need to do the pilot study to check on the question. Now, the best thing about open-ended questions is that they are exploratory in nature. And they offer the researchers richness, in terms of um, providing you with the data beyond your kind of anticipation or expectation. And they provide you with the qualitative data, not quantitative data, even though you can itemize them. Like I said just now, you have open-ended, but you can still itemize them uh, after you give certain coding to them. But we will come to that later. So the open-ended question gives opportunity to the researcher to gain insight on all the opinions on the topic they are not familiar with. So because you kind of have some perspective on the issues, but you want to go in depth, right? But then you want to go in depth, you need open-ended, because you can explore and you can investigate and you can probe into the answers. Okay, open-ended, make this type of question like this. Okay, of course lah, because it is qualitative, then you lack of statistical significance needed for conclusive research. So, of course, like I said last week, not every method has its flaw, or has its shortcoming. The same goes with open-ended question method, because you will not be able to come with kind of accuracy lah, in terms of the numbering, in terms of figure, or in terms of precision. When we talk about statistical method, we talk about precision. Okay, now open-ended questions are useful when you have, when you are having all these four types of subject matter, or even respondents, or included in your research design. First is when you are interviewing experts. When you are interviewing politicians, lecturers, who else? Really leaders, for example, then you need open-ended question, because these people will answer in a lengthy manner. Small population studies, you don't have enough number to conduct quantitative study. Say for example, you have only 30 students, so there is not enough number for a statistical uh, survey. But depends on the population lah. Say for example, you are interviewing one class and you are trying to find the data with regard to that one class. So if there are 30 students out of 40, then 30 is good number, right? But if you are asking one batch of students, because 30 students seems very tricky. Even though, yeah, even though I know that in statistical study or in statistical research, 30 is variable number. It's good number already to conduct a quantitative research. But again, I would like you to check on the nature of the research. Yeah, like I said just now, if you have very small scale population, then 30 is good. But if you have larger scale, say for example, you want to ask people in Kuala Lumpur, 30 is not reasonable. You have to go beyond that. And remember the table, Craigie and Morgan, that I have shared with you last week? Yeah, you can depend on that table to see how many respondents you should acquire or you should get. Okay, preliminary research. Yeah. What is preliminary research? Normally research that you attempt at the first time just to get some ideas about what is happening on the ground. Yeah, so it's not really the like what I did recently is on the anxiety level is kind of preliminary research. Preliminary research, yeah, because you still are not clear about what is there on the ground. You just want to, find or just want to see what is there for you to research. Yeah? And then respondent outlet. Yeah, what is the respondent outlet just now? How come I forgot about the respondent outlet? Yeah? Uh, the respondent outlet, well, I cannot recall now. Preliminary research, a respondent outlet. Okay, let me try to recall after this, because this is like last semester. So, okay, let me try to recall what is respondent outlet. At the moment, I really cannot recall. Let me check my notes for a while. So that would be it with regard to the what you call that with regard to the type of questions that you can ask your respondent. Any question? Anybody doing field work? Anybody doing field work?
I'm doing interview.
Sorry,
Ah,
you have a bad connection. Do you know the 3 minutes?
come again, come again.
Do you talk about the 3 minute video or which one?
No,
Sorry,
no. Your
Abdul Karim.
research guide.
Abdul Karim, I didn't hear you very well.
Because you have, I think, bad connection.
Oh, okay.
No.
So you lost me. Is that what you mean?
I'm talking about the 3 minute. Did you ask about anyone submitted the 3 minute video?
Okay, going back to aduh. Okay, the 3 minutes. This is tonight kan the submission kan?
I did
I
it. I did it.
some
I
proposal.
Okay, so what about it?
No, no. I thought that you asked about that if we did it or yet or didn't yet it.
No, I'm asking about do you have any questions on the lecture on this open-ended and closed-ended question?
Oh, thank you, madam.
No, No,
Thank,
No
thank you.
question. Okay, no question.
Madam,
Yeah, yes, please.
I'm doing an interview
Mm-mm.
for my research. But I feel stuck when I want to explain it in the proposal. I am using um the instrument is in questionnaire,
Mm-mm.
interview, and then I use open ended. So where I need to explain this in the research methodology in the beginning or under the chapter actually.
Oh, in the research methodology. The
The research
research
topic.
methodology, you can say first of all, uh, what is the nature of your research? It is qualitative or quantitative? Is it fieldwork or library research? Yeah.
Mm.
And then what would be the methods that you are going to to adopt when collecting data? So you are going to adopt in-depth interview, isn't it? In-depth
Yeah, in the
interview.
interview.
And then who are your sample? Then maybe you can explain lah convenience sampling ke, probability sampling ke, non-probability sampling ke, or maybe using snowball technique ke, in getting the sample. And
Okay.
then you can also say that you are adopting open-ended question in your instruments. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why you tak payahlah. I think you don't have to justify pun. And this is for collection of data. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For analysis of data, you have to explain, differently. I mean, there are sets of answers for how do you analyze data.
Okay.
Okay.
Madam,
Hmm.
but
Yeah. Hmm.
chapter 1 and 2, 3, 4, I am my study is on library research. Uh,
Okay, Hannah. Okay. Yes.
so
Okay.
is
So,
it
hmm.
uh, it is acceptable?
So
I'm
it is a combination of library research and fieldwork lah.
okay because
Hmm.
I tried to find thesis like me, but I couldn't find. So I am afraid
Hmm.
that I make
Yalah,
the.
because your title is very new kan?
Mm-hmm.
About this pure life society, MBB, is it?
Yes, MVP.
Baby. So it's very new. You don't have that in the literature, kan? In the
Mm.
library, so you have to go to the field. But
Ah,
then for you to, I don't know why you need to go to the library research. Maybe because you want to explain the doctrines
yes,
about
the
background of
meaning of
research.
yes.
Yeah, you explain lah. You explain that in the methodology. Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay, the respondent was just now. I managed to recall when I look at the other notes. A respondent outlet is the one that I conducted just now. You know, you have close-ended question, and then you have another open-ended question to check whether the respondent has answered rightly or not. I said just now, respondent said they understand religious pluralism, right? Very good. But then when I create another question, okay, please explain in your words what do you understand from religious pluralism, and they give their understanding, and then I notice that they actually do not understand. So I can check on their answer. So that is what is meant as respondent outlet. All right. Okay. So what is that?
Madam,
Yes. Yes.
to ask what is the difference between exploratory
And
explanatory explanatory exploratory and explanatory.
oh, you want to the differences between exploratory and explanatory. Explanatory. So one is explore, one is explain,
Uh,
isn't it?
yeah,
Well, explore is more of the collection of data. When you collect the data, you explore, right? Uh, yeah, it is a form of investigation lah. Yeah, it's a form of investigation. You explore the data. There is one specific research, it is called exploratory research. You want to collect the data because you want to know what is happening on the ground. So this is called exploratory. But then explanatory, when you explain the data, so you have explore, you get the data, you analyze the data, and you explain the data and you analyze the data.
Okay.
So explanatory is more of the analysis of data. Exploratory is more of the collecting the data.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
All right. So now let's take a look at this analyzing and reporting the research data. Okay, so we are going to look at analyzing qualitative and analyzing quantitative data, but I will focus on analyzing qualitative data first. Hopefully, towards the end of the class, I can discuss a bit more on analyzing quantitative data, and will be able to introduce you SPSS next week in a very quick manner lah. Okay, now let's take a look at what is data analysis, and the methods fall under data analysis. There are numerous methods or techniques or approaches in analyzing the data. If you know these techniques or methods and put it in your thesis, it gives merit to your thesis. Yeah? Okay, so what is data analysis? Data analysis is referring to the process. The process that you adopt to evaluate data. But of course, what do you need to evaluate data? You need, if there are numbers, then you need to make sense of the numbers, right? So using the logical and analytical reasoning to carefully examine each component of the data. So when do you do this data analysis in your thesis? Actually, you do the analysis from the very beginning tau. Remember when you do the literature review, you have started analyzing the data based on the readings that you have made or you have attempted. But then maybe during that time you only adopt textual analysis because you depend on the text that you are reading, isn't it? But the most important chapter that gives the originality of your work is chapter 4. Normally for master thesis, you have the most 5 chapters including conclusion. So the chapter 4 is your analysis, and chapter 5 is your conclusion. You don't call conclusion chapter lah, but it is one of the chapter. So normally chapter 4 is the for you to do the analysis. Yeah. So in doing this analysis in chapter 4, what are the techniques and methods that you are doing? So this is what we are going to discuss today. Yeah? Even though actually you have did it from the very beginning, but this is talking about once when you are able to gather the data, collect the data, all the data now is at your hands, at your disposal, and then you want to analyze it, further analyze it. Yeah? And you use logical and analytical reasoning. As an examiner, normally when I receive a thesis, I will go to chapter 4. Oh, well, I don't go to chapter 4 straightforward. I will go to statement of problem and research question. And then I will go to chapter 4 and the conclusion to see whether the researcher understands the thesis or not. Very simple. Then only I will read the research. Okay. Um, okay. Data is gathered from various sources. Remember, even when you do literature review, you are collecting or you are analyzing the data. Once the data is collected, it is then reviewed and analyzed to get a conclusion or research finding. That's why chapter 4 is very important because it leads to the conclusion. Okay, you discuss this under methodology. You have to explain how you are going to analyze the primary data collected. Remember just now I said you should have, you should discuss what are the methods, what were the methods you have adopted to gather the data, to collect the data, and you need also to explain what are the methods that you have adopted to analyze the data. Yeah. So you know this, yeah, quantitative and qualitative research, they are different. So you need different type of analysis, yeah, towards the data. Uh, well, perhaps the most important component of research, yes lah. If you fail in this chapter 4, kan, your thesis is very dry. If you fail in chapter 4, your thesis is very dry and your conclusion will be cliche. Nothing interesting about your conclusion. Some of the thesis I read, they will just repeat what they have written throughout the chapters, and it is very tiring to reread again what you have read in the chapters. So remember, to be analytical is difficult. Kan difficult is challenging. I don't want to say difficult, challenging, because you need deep thinking, you need pondering, and you need to be critical. You need to be critical, and you need to be able to look from different angle. We have all, just like people say now, big data, big data, big data, kan. So in your research, you have also big data. It's all over the place now. Yeah, how are you going to, to systematize them, yeah, and analyze based on the system that you have invented. Therefore, if you have research design, it will be very good because you understand well how the data to be interpreted. If you have good research design, yeah, or if you have the theoretical framework, or you have particular theory, established theory, and you want to test the theory, and especially if you have a hypothesis when you test the theory, right? But in our case, Islamic study case, we don't, most of the time we don't have established theory, kan? So we need to do theoretical apa you sebut tadi? My mind is apa ni? Theoretical implications, right? So theoretical implications, so you need to generate the theoretical implications, and you need to challenge the theories that you have developed, whether that theories work or not, yeah? After you have conducted the research. So weak analysis produce inaccurate results, not only hamper the authenticity of the research but also make the findings unusable. Very sad lah kan. So need to choose the right analysis method. Okay. I think I will skip this qualitative analysis, quantitative analysis. Okay, now what you do when you have qualitative data? The notes is quite jumbled up, but I think because I'm taking from different sources, so I just share with you what you do when you have when you want to do when you want to analyze qualitative data. So first of all, of course lah, after you have got the data, you transcribe it. Okay, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'm not only talking about interview here. I'm also talking about if you do library research. Library research is also qualitative research, you see, because you are presented with the so-called big data in front of you, and you need to analyze them. And in this case, you need also to reduce them because they are so plenty of them. So you need to reduce them. And when you reduce them, maybe you have certain coding. Certain coding, for example, when we conducted research on the meaning of rights and freedom of religion, so we have one particular article on the questions of doubts among the young people, right? So we take doubt, for example, as one of the coding in our research, analysis. So, the young people maybe, we want to see if uh, we want to check if the respondents or if their responses advocate or imply certain uh, doubt or indicate that they have doubt in religion. Yeah. And then we have set of questions like to test whether they have this doubt or not. Yeah. Clustering and summarizing provides the first step to simplification. Yeah, because you have different sets of variables and you want to maybe cluster the set of variables, and maybe this cluster of variables help you to make sort of conclusion out of the cluster. For example, in my research, we say that if respondents answer these questions, so we can cluster him as someone who is liberal and open. For example, if the respondents answer that hijab is cultural. Eh? Hijab is cultural. This is one. And then secondly, what else did we ask? Hijab is cultural. All religions are the same, or all religions are equal. Yeah, so we put this under coding of liberal. Yeah. Another coding that we put, if the students or so the respondents answer, um, we should reduce the hours for courses on Islam or on religion at national school. Yeah. So they want subject on Islamic studies at school, the hours to be reduced. And the other question is that religious courses should not, or Islamic Islamic studies or courses, subjects on Islam should not be offered at national school. So we could in fact away. Yeah? So you can do it because it makes it easy for you to do the analysis. Now, for example here, if you are coding people going to the shopping center, kan? Ada yang serious shoppers, window shoppers, and then you found many window shoppers je kan. Passes through just because they want, there is a shortcut, so they roof shortcut, they, or loiterer, simply doing nothing, hanging around, looking at people, kan. So, this is type of coding. And this process of coding is already analytical. Requires you to review, select, interpret, so on and so forth. You can read yourself. Okay, data display. Of course, you have the data and now you want to arrange them. Maybe you want to arrange them in table, you want to arrange them in diagram. So, you found say for example, you found the statistic, you want to share the statistic in the form of bar chart, what else, apa lagi, pie chart, the Windows can help to make uh, your table ke, your chart ke, very attractive uh, and significant. And then you also data reduction also consists of conclusion, making conclusion, making verifying, arranging the compacted data into diagrams and tables which can display the data. So, too many. I remember when I conducted research in Negeri Sembilan, yeah. It was a very tedious reporting that I've done, but alhamdulillah, I follow my instinct that I need to descriptively analyze the data because those who what you call it, appointing me to conduct the research, they have very little idea about statistical method, but they just want to understand the phenomenon. So uh, in addition to the descriptive report, I I transform the data into a table. So it is easy for them. Say they have read the descriptive analysis and they want to just make sure they need not to go back to the text. They can just look at the table. The table will help them to uh, understand the description of the data. Yeah. Now, so like I said just now, you may find this overlapping because I actually check from different books, but I include it because I hope you can benefit from the different techniques or approaches in data analysis. Yeah. So, for example, this one, it highlighted two major processes when analyzing qualitative data. So the first one is data preparation and basic data analysis. So what you need to do is first to get familiar with the data. Yeah, so what you do, first of all, listen. Listen to the interview if you are interview. Yeah. If you are reading, okay, if you are reading, this is my real experience when I did my masters, when I did my PhD. Of course, you have many books in front of you. Can, I mean, and it is impossible for you to read them in detail. Yeah. I mean, like, totally, but of course, the best thing if you can read them all in detail. Yeah. But I think you need also some strategy, yeah, some strategy to make sure because you have very limited time, right? Yeah. So what I did, whenever, of course, when you do readings, you find that certain scholars are mentioned many times, many times, and you know that wow, you cannot just abandon this book. You have to keep this book. You have to get this book by hook or by crook. If you cannot get, then most of the time you have to try hard to find secondary readings that explain this book or this author. So you know what I did when I saw that okay, this particular fellow have been mentioned many times, so I get all their books. Yeah, and I read their books in detail. Yeah, so this is to get yourself familiarized with the issues and with the data. Yeah, so for those doing library research, this is what you should do. Yeah. Itulah, supposedly your supervisor can help you in this because of course your supervisor reads better than you, right? But then there are also situations when your supervisor had to supervise you on the title that is not so much their research interest, but they have to do it because maybe other people can supervise it. He's the best the department can offer to you. Like for example, Abdul Karim, if you are writing on Judaism, not many are supervising in Judaism. Yeah,
Yes,
and not many.
I think, madam, I will ask my professor in Egypt to be co-supervisor because he is knowing Hebrew.
Who?
My professor in Egypt, he has the professor
Oh,
in Jewish studies, and he is already knowing Hebrew. So so he can be co-supervisor to help in my study.
good. You can recommend to
Yes,
the super. You can recommend to postgraduate committee that you want a co-supervisor who can help you with the Hebrew text. Yes, you can.
yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know who here in the university is already have. I think you.
No. I'm not familiar with Judaism.
No,
Um,
you have some information related to the sects in Judaism, Jews.
That because I thought sometimes but never mind. You just check on the Usuluddin website and you get the individual lecturers research. You will find who are the lecturers have attempted research in Judaism. But as of
I did
now,
since I came, but I didn't find anyone interested in Judaism, unfortunately.
Dr. Nur Amali, I think so. He
I
has,
listened. Some professor told me this name before, but when I suffering his page, I didn't find any information related to this topic.
his thesis is on Reform Judaism.
Inshallah, I think he
Um,
will be my supervisor.
I don't know lah, but the Abdul Karim is not my area. I'm afraid I will not be able to advise you accordingly. But inshallah, maybe Dr. Majdan can also, we'll see how the committee think who can help you with the research. Yeah?
Wallahi,
But
if they can also fund me to travel to Penang to do this research, it will be perfect to me, wallah. I will
come,
be great.
come again, Brother
If,
Abdul Karim.
if they can fund my research, which regarding
Mm.
Penang, it will be
Uh-huh.
great. I think it will
Ah,
be great.
yes, yes, yes. Yes. Okay, yeah, yeah, you can.
I
Yeah,
think
that's what you can do. Yep. Hmm. All right.
so.
So, yeah lah. But basically, those who have studied Christianity have some ideas about Judaism. I believe so. Those who have studied Christianity have some ideas about Judaism. So, but I would say that not many of us are, familiar with Judaism, you know, because of the language barrier. Yeah, because of the language barrier. Okay, so developing framework. Okay. Well, actually, when you do qualitative research, especially when you do fieldwork, for me lah, normally I will come with a framework first. With a framework first. So when I have the data, it's easy for me to match the framework. The framework is already there. So it's not difficult for me to code or to do the coding based on the framework. But I don't know, maybe this is what this author is suggesting, that you do the framework later after you get the data. Maybe there is something right also, because maybe my framework from the very beginning is as such, but when I collect the data and when I try to analyze the data, you found different framework altogether. So I think maybe this is also the case. Identifying patterns and connections. Yes, yes. You need to have some kind of drawing when you are preparing, when you are doing this analysis. Kind of mind mapping, especially when you are trying to establish relationship. You need to have, this mind mapping skill to see what is the cause and what is apa tu cause and effect relationship. So that is one of the strategy in analyzing the data. Yeah. Okay. Over here it says that revisit research objectives. So revisit the research objective and identify the questions that can be answered through the collected data. Normally, for me, when I analyze the data, even before that, say for example, when I constructing questions, I will construct questions based on the research objective. And you have research question, right? You have research question, and your research question reflect your research objective, right? So normally what I will do, I will generate more questions based on the research questions. So I think when I have this, I need not to revisit my questions once when the data has been gathered. Okay, now let's take a look at what are the types of methods of analysis, or analysis method that we can adopt when we analyze the data. Yeah. So the first one is content analysis. Those doing library research, this is going to be your analysis. This is going to be your method of analysis. Content analysis method, because you are going into the content of the works that you are consulted. So it used to analyze documented information in the text, media, or even physical items. Apa ya physical items ni? Maybe what it means here, what physical items? I don't know. Physical items, text, media. Okay. So when it comes to interview, you go to the interview data, that is also physical items. Yeah. When you observe and then you put the observations in writing, that is also physical items, and you are doing content analysis based on the observation that you have reported or recorded. Um, when you use this method, you depends on the research question. Content analysis is usually used to analyze responses from interviewees. So if you have interviewees, if you conduct interview, you can straight away say in the research methodology that you are adopting content analysis for the analysis of data. Yeah. Um, Okay, just identify patterns in recorded communication. You systematically collect data from a set of text which can be written, oral, or visual. Okay, this is so content analysis is not only limited to library research but also to field work when you do interview. Now, narrative analysis. Actually, when you do analysis, you can adopt a number of methods. Or techniques in analyzing the data. So you can say, oh, I use content analysis, narrative analysis, especially when you are interviewing. Those who interview respondents, you can adopt this narrative analysis. Yeah? Because why you are narrating the data from the respondents, you tell the story. You are telling the story. So this is narrative analysis. So tak adalah most of the time when I read thesis, this is conduct analytical method, comparative method. Yeah, but be more specific. Content analysis method, narrative analysis method. You give weightage to your. Okay, now this one, Masya Allah, I am going to an article for this one. After this, I'm going to spend more time on this one because this is a recently developed method. Yeah, and I think in our area of study, we can benefit from this method. Yeah, we can benefit from this method. We will, after this, we will see the history behind the introduction of this method. Yeah. So what is grounded theory method of analysis? This refers to using qualitative data to explain why a certain phenomenon happened. So I just noticed that when I conducted the research on respondents' understanding of freedom of religion, I was actually using grounded theory. I was using grounded theory because there is no established theory. But then I developed theoretical implication the facts that I have gathered from the ground. That's why it's called grounded theory. Yeah. Now it does this by studying a variety of similar cases in different settings and using the data to derive causal explanations. So for example, when I managed to get the data from the ground stating that, okay, these respondents who seem to have liberal ideas about religions, they most of them are inclined to giving freedom, total freedom to people of religions. Remember I was talking about these four items just now. Those who take that hijab is cultural, religion, all religions are equal, so on and so forth. So we categorize them as liberal respondents, because why? Because we found that most of them, majority of them agree that relig- religious freedom is what you call that, totally on men. So there is no restriction in terms of men's freedom. Yeah. Uh, so that I found based on the data on the ground. Yeah. So based on that data that I found on the ground during my pilot study, we design our questions. We design our questions. Yeah. So researchers may alter the explanations or create new ones as they study more cases until they arrive at an explanation that fits all cases. So we have our findings, yeah, based on this grounded theory, the way I see it, yeah, even though we didn't declare that in our research, yeah. But then, for example, if let's say we want to conduct similar research in other places, yeah, this is what we requested from Jakim to give us some funding to conduct similar research in other places. Then I will explain in the next research that uh, what this research is conducted on the basis of the grounded on the analysis that we have done on the ground. Yeah, so we use grounded theory in our analysis of data, and we do similar research at other place. So I will declare that this research is based on the grounded theory that we have adopted. Okay, and then thematic analysis. Yeah, thematic analysis is as you learn from the term, you put themes in your analysis. Yeah, in your analysis. Say for example, you are doing library research on Jesus Christ lah just now, Jesus Christ. So what are the themes that you want to adopt with regard to your analysis on Jesus Christ? Maybe you want to give themes maybe in terms of its historical background, doctrines pertain to Jesus Christ. What else? What else can you think of Jesus Christ? Uh, maybe you want to say just now doctrines can, maybe doctrines, historical background, or maybe you want to discuss about what Jewish interpretation of Jesus, Christian interpretation of Jesus, Islamic interpretation of Jesus. So you give the themes in your analysis. So your chapter 4 will be organized. Yeah, will be organized. So you know that you need to have subtitles can, but under the subtitles also then you have another subtitle. You have the subtitle already, but then you have the sub under the subtitle. Then you find that uh, very easy for the examiner to to read to understand your analysis. Okay. Now I'm reading my students' thesis on civic pluralism in Indonesia. Ya Allah. It's a very challenging thesis because I found that if my student didn't do subtitle and didn't do sub discussion under the subtitle, then I think I will collapse. I mean, I will go everywhere in the analysis. So Alhamdulillah, because there are many subtitles, and under the subtitle there are subtopics as well. So I managed to be guided by the subtopics. Yeah. Earlier he didn't highlight the subtopics. So. And there are already many subtitles, and there are many subtopics. Then I said to him, can you please make subtopics out of the subtitle? Because for example, one subtopic, just imagine when you write one subtopic under the subtitle may take you like 3 pages. And then your subtitle take you like maybe 2 pages. And then you have how many subtopics? Maybe 4, 5 subtopics. So whenever I'm reading, I want to see what this subtopic referring to. Yeah. So it's very tedious. But if you have properly organize your analysis according to the themes. For example, my students say themes their religious values, yeah, themes their freedom of religion, and then themes their the other theme is perceptions on LGBT. So these all themes fall under the category of civic pluralism. Yeah? So civic pluralism discuss about religious values, discuss about LGBT. Yeah? What is LGBT? Lesbianism, transsexual. Yeah? You know this. Yeah? And then also freedom of religion. And then under these three also have subtopic. Yeah? Inshallah. Okay, comparative analysis is easier lah. Especially when you have historical analysis, then maybe, not maybe, then you will definitely need to have comparative analysis, maybe in the past, comparing the past and the current context. I think we don't have historical analysis here, but I mean, you know what historical analysis, right? It's just like well, not just historical analysis is when you encounter historical data. This is especially for those doing library research. So when you encounter history, when you have to do when you study history, you definitely will have to do historical analysis, and most of the time you will have to do comparative analysis because you want to see how this gradual historical development take place. Takes place. Okay, discourse analysis. Maybe Brother Arif. Brother Arif, are you there? Brother Arif, yours may be discourse analysis because you are studying Rumi, right? And you are studying his poems on adab, right? On
Yes.
adab. So you need to go to the poems that he has written with regard to adab. Yeah. So yours is discourse analysis because it is a research method for studying written or spoken language in relation to its social context. Yeah, but this is not for the sake of no learning its linguistic implication. Tak tahu. It's more of literature kan. It aims to understand how language is used in real life situations. So for example, when Arabic says that I'm no Christian and no Jews, no Hindus. I am a temple in myself, for example. So what does he mean by the language that he used? What does he mean? He mean by temple in myself. You see, so that is discourse analysis when you are trying to interpret his words and trying to understand the context during his time and the words that he has chosen, then that is discourse analysis. Yeah, for example, it is used to analyze interactions with people. Okay, however, it focuses on analyzing the social context in which the communication between the researcher and the respondent occurred. So this is okay, this is when it involves like poems, and what else can you think of? What else can you think of? Maybe when you say, for example, you uh, study Syed Nakib Al-Atas lah. For example, Syed Nakib Al-Atas works and he has offered very interesting jargons kan. And you had the opportunity to interview him, then you want to know, uh, why he use certain term or language. What does that term, words mean to him in the context of, um, his analysis lah. Like for example, when I read Al-Faruqi, Ismail Raja Al-Faruqi, I'm so much interested why he likes to use Greek terms, Greek terms. Even though of course, I know, the basic reason why he use all these Greek terms when speaking to the West. Yeah? But then, I want to really know whether that term give meanings to him. So, for example, when he used the word sui generis, yeah. What else? He used sensus communis, yeah. Uh, innate monotheism. What else? There are many Greek uh, raison d'etre. Huh? So I really need to know what discourse that he meant when he used all these Greek terms. So, this is discourse analysis, for example. Alright, it focuses on contextual meaning and not on the linguistic issues. Alright, so that's about analyzing qualitative data, and as I have explained to you, this analysis today's discussion is important as far as your final exam, as far as your test is concerned. Yeah, so any questions before I move to the quantitative analysis? Actually, there are many qualitative analysis, you see. There are many, but I cover only some of them. Yeah. Uh, you can read on your own because most of these uh, methods in research, uh, you get yourself familiar and expert in it when, of course, when you do reading, but most importantly when you yourself do the research. So it's just like driving kan. If you read these books on how to drive can, and you can be very conversant in terms of the theory, but you need to adopt it, then only you are capable of using it. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I can say. Yeah. All right, there is no question. Everybody is so quiet. Okay, let's take a look at the quantitative data. Okay, how many? Oh, banyak, banyak, banyak. Masya Allah. Very tired to discuss this quantitative data, but anybody have learned SPSS? Can I know that? Maybe you can help me, because I found that whenever I wanted to analyze quantitative data, when I want to present quantitative data, I am struggling because the best way to do this is to have a sample of data with you, and do, especially when we are doing this online, kan, very difficult. But if you are in class, then I can help and I can get someone who is expert in SPSS to show you, to demonstrate to you straight away. Okay, now let's take a look at the quantitative data. Maybe even though I believe that majority do not take this method, but yeah, why didn't you just learn about this method, have some idea? Yeah. Okay, so why you use statistics? Yeah, why you use statistics? First of all, because you want to measure there are certain top title when you choose it involves measurement and when you defend your proposal and you use this term, you will be challenged by the members about how much you can analyze if you choose the term. For example, when you choose the term like the relationship between tauhid and the relationship between tauhid and values, for example. So when you talk about relationship, normally it involves measurement because you want to see the relationship. Or you use the word the impact. The impact. So then you will be asked how to measure the impact. How to measure the impact. Most of the time, uh, but in IRK, I think I don't know about Quran Sunnah and Fiqh Usul Fiqh, yeah. But in Usuluddin, we will ask you how are you going to measure the impact. And yeah, I think even though you adopt qualitative study, you can still measure the impact if you have the right instruments. But for in human sciences, the moment you use the word relationship and impact, it is definitely a quantitative study. Quantitative study. Yeah. And then you can make comparisons. You can examine relationship just now. You can predict. You can predict. You can even predict. Yeah. Maybe like what I have explained just now. You can predict that the respondents will answer these four items can. Uh, uh, how do you, what are those items that I explained just now? You know, hijab is cultural, don't study religion at school, apalagi all religions are equal. You can predict that these respondents who answer this way will agree with with religious freedom, total religious freedom. That's our prediction. Okay. And then test hypothesis. Okay. So for example, who do not to be liberal in their understanding of religion. So that is our hypothesis even conducted the research. Yeah. So but then we test our hypothesis. On Islamic studies, they didn't learn religion well at school, they didn't go to religious school, they didn't go to program, right? They have kind of lack understanding of religion and they are more inclined to subscribe to the idea of freedom of religion. But surprisingly, our findings tak, it's not that one. Our finding is wrong because actually those who receive formal education and there is no significance. Okay, there is no significance in the sense that those who have formal education, those who didn't have formal education can be liberal or can accept the idea of freedom and can also be very observant in terms of their understanding of freedom of the respondents who mm, who, how do I say it? Who is more observant of religious freedom, and believe in the limited religious freedom. Those who used to learn religion or Islam when from their parents. It means that in the family they have very good Islamic education. Their parents have nurtured them, educate them. One, so they believe that their parents, they answer that their parents give very good, exposures about Islam. And then interestingly, those who go to masjid and listen to the talks at the masjid, listen to the speeches at the masjid. So we kind of make a conclusion that it does not matter if the person receive formal education or informal education, in terms of determining their, how they observe or how they understand religious freedom. But the Jakim has to look into the curriculum at the mosque, should we call it curriculum or program at the mosque, because it's quite interesting to find that those who went to the mosque, they are really benefiting from the inputs at the mosque. So Jakim may want to address this, that if Jakim wants to educate the Muslims, they have to make the mosque more organized in terms of the programs that they are offering and the topics that they are discussing at the mosque. Yeah, surprising kan? We thought people go to the mosque and didn't get anything, but actually they get a lot. And those who come from religious school, we thought that Masya Allah, they learn religion better, but actually no. Interesting. Okay, construct concepts and theories, explore, control, and explain. Um, well, control in terms of, because you give them the variables can, so you control them with the variables. What are the variables? How do I explain the variables? For example, you want to test, you want uh, to know whether they understand Tawhid or not. So you list down the variables for their understanding of Tawhid. So you control their understanding of Tawhid based on the variables that you list down. And well, actually, you check their understanding of Tawhid only based on the variables. Of course, there are many variables, can, but you control their understanding based on the variables that you have forwarded them or you have offered them. Okay. Mm, what is my computer? All right. So when you have data, say for example, you use Likert scale, kan? Likert ke Likert ke? Some people say Likert, some people say Likert. Yeah? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Five very or extremely agree, one being extremely disagree, kan? So you can analyze the respondents' answer. Okay, so let's take a look at how the analysis of quantitative data help you with that figure. So first of all, you may be able to know the average of the answers given by your respondents. I will show you what average here means. Um, okay, and secondly, you can do hypothesis testing. Hypothesis testing mostly used in business research and is done to assess if a certain theory or hypothesis for a population or data set is true. So like I said just now, our hypothesis is proven wrong. Okay, proven wrong. And then sample size determination. Yalah, we have learned this kan when we discuss about probability sampling, non-probability sampling. So basically when you want to administer survey, you have to identify the sample, you have to know the number of samples. Yeah. Okay, what mean, median and modes in quantitative analysis that data mean. So say for example, when you want to find the mean of your respondents answer, yeah. So I said just now, if you have the range from the answer 4, 1 and 7. So in this case, for example, you have 3 respondents, kan? And you want to find the mean between the 3 respondents. Say for example, 7 is strongly disagree, 1 being strongly disagree. So you want to see these 3 respondents, what is the mean? Yeah. You sum up the score, and divide by 3 and you find that the mean is 4. So you can gauge tau from here. Of course you have 3 respondents here, right? But imagine if you have many. And then you find that the mean is 4. So you know one respondent score the mean or the average score of the answer. So average 4 is maybe, so from 1 to 7, 4, so it's just like in the middle, right? Coincidentally in the middle. But say for example, if you have more than 3 respondents and many of your respondents answer 7, so you know that the mean is maybe 6 point something. So you can see that, well, the mean is 6.5. It gives the impression that most of your respondents answer is slanting to 7. So you get this impression that most of your respondents answers uh, is slanting to 7. Slanting means they are more inclined to 7. Yeah. So the mean give you this impression. Yeah. And then the median, the middle number found by ordering all data points and picking out the one in the middle, taking the mean of these two numbers. Example, the median is 4, 1 and 7 is 4 because the numbers are put in order. Number 4 is in the middle. So, when you match between the two, kan, mean and median, you will be able to know uh, what is the, say for example, the middle score of the answer. So you know, like just now I said, your respondents answer 6.5 lah kan. The mean is 6.5. So say you have a set of sample and most of them answer 7, 6, 7, 6, and then a number of them answer maybe 3, 2 or 1. But then when you calculated them all, divide by the number, calculated the score, divide by the number, you found, oh, the mean is 6.5. But then you compare the median. Yeah? The median, so you found that, oh, most of the respondents were answering, the middle answer, many answers 5. But because, 6 and 7 are also many, the two of them, kind of pull the mean. Yeah? So you know that um, for the sample that you have, uh, the middle answer for the respondents is, say for example, 4.5. Okay, if you have 4.5 above, it's kind of good enough. Good enough. And of course, when you check with the mean, you find that, 6.5. So, you know that your sample is slanting to 4.5 and above. Very little number of respondents answer below 4.5. It gives you certain idea of the trends in the answer. So the most frequent number, that is a number that occurs the highest number of times. So for example, just now, most likely if you get 6.5, even though the median is 4.5, yeah, But then most of the respondents seem to answer six. Six. Yeah. So it gives you certain impression of your findings. They become, the mean become 6.5 because you have to, you have to sum up all the scores and divide by the number, right? Okay. Okay, so just now we discussed about what you need to do when you want to analyze qualitative data kan. Now let's talk about what are the steps that you need to do when you want to analyze quantitative data. So first of all, quite tedious lah kan. You need to prepare the data preparation. We discuss, validate the data, edit the data, doing the coding, and then you do the analysis, you do the descriptive analysis, and then you come to the very core uh, analysis, which is the advanced analysis, analyzing qualitative data, data preparation and basic analysis and qualitative data analysis methods. Normally you use advanced analysis method. In IRK, I found that, when I did my research, I found that people, even recently when I went to Jakim, they are more interested in the descriptive statistics. They don't want this, bukan they don't want, maybe they cannot make sense of this, advanced analysis method. But they only appreciate the first layer of the data interpretation. That's okay too. That's okay too. That's giving them the understanding of what is taking place on the ground. Tapi if you really know, if you really appreciate statistics, then you know that it's not enough. Descriptive analysis will not help you to understand the phenomenon. The advanced analysis will help you to understand the phenomenon. Yeah. So what is data analysis? Yeah. The purpose is to find out as far as possible whether the data collection was done as per the preset standard without any bias. Yeah. So first you want to check the data. Say for example you have the quantitative, you have the questionnaire back to you kan. You really have to glance through the questionnaire. For example kan, if you find that the respondents tick all five, from the pages, then you can, lah, it's something fraud. Something not right about the questionnaire, the survey. So you may want to bring back to your research team, compile, when you do the checking kan. You first of all when you have to give them number tau. Say for example you have 100, so every single survey you put 1, 2, you give them label lah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because you need that label later on. Say for example if there is something, if you need to go back to the data kan, you need to go back to the question, to the survey. So for example you found that questionnaire number 1, number 5, number 10 seems they are, something fishy lah, not correct, fraud. Maybe the enumerator did not administer the questionnaire very well. Even in my research recently, we targeted for 600. We got 595 because we omitted 5 of them. Because we kind of suspicious about the detail. Like I said just now lah, all the tick, tick, tick. And then for example, one respondent, he put his qualification SPM. It's called school level, SPM. But then he put his earning 3,000. Yeah. So we were not confident, and we were not happy. We feel very suspicious. STM, and his age is 19 years old. Yeah. He didn't indicate what the job he's doing, so we said, okay lah, to be safe, just omit this question. Yeah. Screening to make sure that the respondents were chosen as per the research criteria. Okay lah, even though we have reminded our enumerator, yeah, that we want only those who fall under the age bracket of to 19 to 65. Yeah. Bukan young lagi, it's not young people. So we didn't do towards the young people, we do Kuala Lumpur, what you call that, population. So 19 to 65. But then we found that, the 5 of them just now were STM. They were school leavers. School leavers. So we thought that our enumerator didn't do well. We failed to check. We asked them, actually, before you administer the questionnaire, ask these people how old are they. Are they working? Are they in college? Yeah? Because we don't want school children, kind of, as respondent. Okay. Procedure to check whether the data collection procedure was duly followed. Yeah. So that we have to check with the enumerator lah. For example, were the respondents told about the confidentiality, yeah, and especially if you need them to sign certain document, then you have to check whether the respondents have signed the document or not. Yeah. Completeness to ensure that the interviewer asks the respondents all the questions rather than just a few required ones. I feel like, but that is very ideal situation if you can, have a very good session together with the respondents, and instead of them answering, instead of them ticking, you tick, like you ask them tick. But this is very ideal situation because um, most of the time in answering questionnaire, we want the respondent themselves to answer. We are afraid that if, say for example, you tick on their behalf, they will not be sincere in their answer. Especially when you ask very sensitive question. Sensitive question. For example, in one of our questions, we say that I've never been I've never taken liquor. It's one question. I've never taken liquor in my whole life. So you never drink liquor, can? So just imagine if I am the enumerator and I ask my respondents, do you think the respondent would say strongly disagree? They will definitely be, you know, uh, shy to say if he has attempted that he has drink liquor before. So we finally had to allow the respondents to answer on their own. But the best thing, after they have answered, don't just let them go. Take a look at the survey, maybe the respondents forgot one question and we say, hey, can you please answer this one? You missed this one. We need you also to answer all this. Because every items are useful for quantitative data. Okay. But what if you have too many samples, so too many questionnaire? I think if you have like 600, you can lah. My research assistant, he's very good lah. I think he's very good. He knows his work already, so he actually look one by one. But if there are too many, so for example, if you have 50 kan, 50, 5,000, ya Allah. If you have many research assistant, okay lah kan. But if you have only two and the two to look into the 5,000, Allahu Akbar. So it is suggested that you pick at random. Yeah, pick at random. Yeah. Note this can be time consuming. Survey with lots of responses. This is also another issue. How many pages the survey? Cannot be too many pages. Yeah. Tiring now. Even when you want to analyze, it's also going to be very extensive. Imagine a survey with 200 respondents split into two cities. The researcher can pick a sample of 20 random respondents from each city. After this, the researcher can reach out to them through email or phone and check their responses to a certain set of questions. MashaAllah. This is very tedious if you want to adopt this. But I believe, even checking with the questionnaire, and if you think that it is no longer, you can just omit. Because you see that there are situations when you administer the survey, you let the respondent to be anonymous. I mean, they didn't disclose who they are, no phone number, no email whatsoever. So it's very impossible for you to get back to the respondents unless if you, if you want to do that lah. If you want to do that and the respondent agree to give his email or handphone number, and then you said to him, if there is anything wrong, can I check again with you? If he accepts, then it's okay. Right? Most of the case, they don't want. It's just, one friend for all, they help you and that's it. Yeah. Okay, data editing. Large data sets include error. For example, respondents may fill fields incorrectly or skip them. To make sure that there are no such errors, the researcher should conduct basic data checks, check for outliers. What are outliers? Outlier like just now lah. I mentioned to you, alamak, 17 years old lah. They are not within the category of your respondents, or maybe some of their answers does not make sense. Yeah, does not make sense. So these are regarded as outliers. Can for example, they got the Likert scale wrongly. This can happen too, especially when they are in hurry. So these are outliers. For example, said strongly disagree 5, agree strongly disagree 1. And your respondents actually wanted to answer 5, but they thought that 1 is strongly agree. So they put, one. You like, why is this person answer 1? I mean, impossible for Muslims to believe that, to subscribe to that, view. You think that something wrong about the answers, right? So that's here, no? Edit the raw research data to identify and clear out and any data points that hamper the accuracy of it. So, at the level of keying the data, also you need to be very careful. An error could be fields that were left empty by respondents. While editing the data, it is important to make sure to remove or fill the empty fields. Okay. Okay, data coding. Data coding, it refers to grouping and assigning values to responses from the survey. Like I said just now, when we found that the respondents answered these 4 questions, so we, kind of give them. But actually data coding is, like I said just now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then for example, in the questions, you have A, part B, part C, part D, right? And then under part A, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you need to code them accordingly in the SPSS. So for example, what you call that? Question part A kan. So A1, A2, A3, A4, so on and so forth. Like for example, when we put forward the question to the respondents, we actually didn't give the title. we didn't disclose the title to them because we don't want them to be prejudiced when we read the title. When we get back to apa tu, when we want to do the key in, we get back to the title. So like I said just now, A, B, A1, A2, A3, A4, because later on we want to compare between, say for example, A and C, A and B and D. So this is coding. And remember, when you code the respondent, the questionnaire, questionnaire 1, questionnaire 2, interview 1,000 people and now wants to find the average age of the respondent, the researcher will create age bucket and categorize the age of each respondent as per these codes. Yes, yes. This happens especially when you have either income. What else can you kind of cluster them? You know, income bracket, age, years of experience, for example. So you need to give coding to them. So like, for example, we have 17 to 21. So this is coding number 1. 22, what is that? 22 to 26, code number 2. So when you enter into the system, you do not enter the number, the age, yeah, but you enter the code. So code 1 referring to this, code 2 referring to this. Apa tu? Alright. Okay, the researcher can deal with simplified age records rather than a massive range of individual age. Okay, now let's take a look at the descriptive data analysis method. Yeah. This is very simple analytical method of survey. Yeah. So just now I have explained to you the mean, kan, numerical average of set of values. So um, you know the average. What is that? Average, median, and mode. These three are very closely related to each other. So, and it gives certain meanings lah to the data. Maybe next class I can show you what mean, median, mode means. Yeah. And then percentage. This is most of the time lah. Percentage. Yeah. Percentage. And then frequency. Frequency ni maybe I think the mode is very much relevant to the frequency. Yeah. The number of times a value is found. Yeah. For example, how many respondents answer 4. So you go to the frequency. And then you have range, the highest and lowest value in a set of values. Like I said just now, 1 to 5. The Likert scale, and you want to see, your respondents situated in between what? Maybe 4 to 5, 3 to 5. So you can make some what you call it, estimation. You can gauge the range. So why is it like that? My son is cooking at the kitchen. Alright, descriptive statistics provide absolute numbers. However, they do not explain the rationale or reasoning behind those numbers. Say for example, the question we posed just now, I never take liquor, for example. I never take liquor, and then we found that, majority of the Muslim acknowledge I never take liquor, but some number, like I think very insignificant lah. I don't remember how many, but just say 5 of them. Yeah. But when we present this to the members, even the researchers, they have different ideas. Yeah. 5 Muslims drink liquor. 5 out of 565. We cannot afford even to have one Muslim drink liquor. Okay, so But anyway, in statistics, this five doesn't mean anything. Especially in descriptive analysis. But what is appreciated in statistical analysis? Let's take a look. These five people, are they subscribing to the idea of liberalism? Are they subscribing to the idea of freedom of religion? Let's take a look whether they are related or not. That is interesting in statistics. That is what actually statistical analysis try to explore. Okay? Anyway, um, descriptive statistics are most helpful when the research is limited to the sample and does not need to be generalized to a larger population. If you are comparing the percentage of children vaccinated in two different villages, then descriptive statistic is enough. Of course, they are, descriptive analysis of statistics has its own strength and function. Yeah. Okay. Um, So, since descriptive analysis is mostly used for analyzing single variable, yeah, it is often called unvariate analysis. Yeah, from the word variate kan, that is univariate means that it's not varieties lah, single interpretation. Okay. Now, I think I will stop at this slide. We will discuss some more because after this is inferential analysis, and inferential analysis is advanced analysis, and I think I will need a special session to discuss inferential analysis. I just give you the general idea of inferential analysis. But these are examples of descriptive analysis. Say for example, you are conducting quantitative analysis, using a process. When you look for all these mean, median, mode, percentage, frequency, and range, that means you are, describing or you are doing the descriptive analysis. So for inferential analysis, is advanced analysis. Most of the time lah, I think most of the time I think we use correlation and regression analysis. Yeah, the correlation and regression analysis. Kesian, are you hungry? Kesian, my son is hungry. So correlation analysis and regression analysis of variance I will also show with you. Well, to give you just some flavor of how is inferential analysis. Yeah. All right, so I think that's about it for today's lecture. We can discuss if you want. Since you are now, I think, is preparing for the submission of your proposal, and if you still have questions with regard to your proposal on the 31st on the 31st you are expected to submit your proposal, right? Let me see
Yes, madam.
okay lah. So any question lah regarding what we have discussed today? We have discussed a lot actually. Like do it very quickly today. In normal circumstances, when we have face-to-face, we give examples, we have questions. But because we are online and I'm doing it single way, it can be very fast. Okay, any questions? Hassan is still around.
Assalamualaikum. I'm not angry, madam.
Yes, Hassan, you're still around, Hassan?
Yes.
Hassan, I still didn't receive your words lah, Hassan. Have you submitted? I didn't check lah. How do I evaluate you if you didn't submit anything? Let me see, Hassan. Um, or I'm just afraid that you submit somewhere else in different. Okay, you have resubmitted.
Yes.
Sign
Yes.
assess.
Yes. Yes, madam.
Apa yang yes? Which one is yes? Research proposal. There was an
Research
assess.
proposal.
Yes. Something again. Written assignment. Written assignment. You submit only up to bibliography lah. I didn't find your statement of problem, research objective to question, and literature review. So you are missing many points nanti. Many marks nanti.
I'll try to submit inshallah in in within days.
Come again. Come again, sir.
I will submit in these days, inshallah.
Okay, let me check. There is research questions and PDF edited research questions. Oh, this one I have. Oh, you have submitted research questions, but then this is in different files. Research questions. I say, oh, you have, but then you submit. You submit under the test. Let me see.
Yes, madam.
You submit under the test. You didn't submit under the uh, written assignment. You submit in different platform. So you have submit to me. Your thesis is your title. The title. Or maybe this is the test. Okay. Nah, okay. The test is about the Sharia advisor, right? So this is different. So you didn't submit to me your statement of problem, research objective, the question, as well as literature review. So that is 10 marks, you see. 5. Uh, you have only submitted bibliography, title also you have submitted. So yes, another 3. What is the last one? Class? I forgot lah. What is the last one?
Yes.
Hmm. You still have time, brother Hassan, because the final submission of your proposal is 31st, right? 31st of December, right?
Yes, madam.
So you still have time. I need to see the written assignment.
In this day, I will do, inshallah.
All right. Okay. Oh, first I ask you to submit research areas, then title and detail, and then literature review, no, statement of problem and literature. Okay, and then literature review. Yes. So altogether there are 4 because every item carries 5 marks. So most of you have submitted literature review. Yep. Okay lah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so maknanya which means that all of you have completed the first 20 points except for a number of you lah. I think Hassan has yet to submit statement of problem, research question, and also literature review. Yeah.
Yes. In this
But
day, I will
then,
do, inshallah, madam.
but the rest of you have submitted.
Yes.
So, what is also expected after this? Let me see. Is preemptive. Tonight is the last day kan?
3 minutes before the last night.
Yes, together.
24 kan? Today.
Yes. Together with proposal defense, right, madam?
Proposal defense 17 supposedly, right? But then I postpone this one.
Yes.
I postpone. I hope I can do it in class. That's why I'm rushing. Most likely the last class lah. And then if we cannot do it, then you send me apa tu, you record it. So you hold it until we until next week. Next week lah, because next week I hope to do all the lectures, and the last week is fair for the presentation of the proposal.
Madam.
Ma'am,
Yes.
as you mentioned, we have to send that one as well in video recording, right?
Yelah, because I said we do not have time, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But I I didn't give you the new deadline, right? Did I?
I think
I, it is today, madam.
Oh, okay. All right, all right. If you have did it, it's okay. Good. You just submit to me, and then because I think even though we do it during class time, we will not have enough time to cover everyone. So still, some of you will have to record it and send to me. If you have recorded it, you can just submit to me, and
okay, ma'am.
I will
Madam, I,
evaluate that one.
Okay. Can I ask about the proposal, please?
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah, the first 20 marks will be final, or there is any chance to will be improved after the final proposal? The first 20 marks. For example, if
Um,
anyone take 10 from 20, after that when he finish his last proposal, if there is any chance to improve it, or it will be final. I have a problem or Assalamu alaikum.
the next you got 10 out of 20. Abdul Karim, you got 10 out of
No,
20?
no, no, no.
I don't
I
think
didn't
so.
get 10.
You got 14, 10 out of 20.
It's not my mark.
It's good, lah.
I give an
Mm.
example or only, but I'm asking if there is any. Yes, I was hoping to get 20,
Okay.
but it's not
Very
my
good.
mark. I'm asking only. Uh,
Yes, I agree with Abdul Karim.
But, okay, the next submission on the
yes.
31st will carry 20 marks. So I will combine, say for example, if your previous score is 14, I will combine with the next score, the second submission. The marks is 20 out of 20. So if you score, say for example 19 plus 14,
Hmm?
so it's going to be the total mark of your assignment.
Okay, so it's a final.
Do you
Okay,
understand
okay.
that or not?
Fine. Yes. The excellent
Yeah,
is
it's
passed
final
away
lah, of
now.
course, of course. The submission on
The
the
excellent
31st of
has
October,
passed away
the first,
I will get 19 out of
the
20.
submission.
Yes,
Alhamdulillah.
okay.
InsyaAllah, insyaAllah. That is final, of course. That is final. Because final as far as this course is concerned. But when you work with your supervisor, you can improve it.
That
Yes.
would be later,
Hmm.
not now.
Yelah, and there is no marks. Your marks are not in the proposal. Your marks will be given by your examiner when your thesis is completed. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So, okay. What else?
We are miskin in mark. So I think
So, okay, don't be, I mean, becoming rich in a quick manner is not good. You have to be gradually be a rich person. You cannot be, suddenly you become rich. Okay. Um, yeah, inshallah. This morning we had uh, defense of final year project with undergraduate. Yeah. I think, wow, they were doing great, lah. I think, inshallah. I'm so impressed with their presentation this morning. So I believe that if undergraduate can do it, why can't you? We have like 13 to 15 undergraduate presenting similar research like yours. Hmm. They were given one semester to develop their first version of proposal, and they managed to do it. Next semester they are going to work again on the same proposal, but in a more serious manner. So I think what they were doing this semester is basically just the same like you people. Yeah, but they managed to do it. Alhamdulillah. All of the presentations were good. So inshallah you can do it if undergraduate can do it. As the way I see Misbah, when you show me Misbah, I didn't look very carefully lah. I didn't check for the language or whatnot. But I think it's better, much better than your first submission. Yes.
inshallah.
Alright, okay. So, okay, if there is no more question, then I think we stop at this point.
Okay,
Because we
inshallah.
didn't take a break at all. Huh? Very tired, sit down here 2 hours. No question, eh? Sister?
Yes.
Cuma senyap aja, sister. Alright, thank you so much all. Inshallah, I'll see you again next week. We will discuss the last slides, inshallah.
Okay,
Thank
thank you,
you.
madam.
Thank you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, madam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Allah. Thank you, madam. Salam alaikum.